Hey, buddy, hit that subscribe. Just a sec for you, but it means the world to me. I pulled my rental car into the long-term parking garage at O'Hare International Airport, jet-lagged but smiling like an idiot. I'd flown in from Seattle overnight just to surprise my son, Evan Hale, for his birthday. I hadn't told him a thing. I imagined the look on his face when I showed up at his apartment. Maybe embarrassed, maybe laughing, but happy. That was the plan. Simple, clean, a dad doing dad stuff. I grabbed my coat, the small gift bag on the passenger seat, and stepped out into the cold Chicago air. March was still biting, the kind of cold that sneaks through your jacket like it's personal. As I walked past row after row of parked cars, something felt off. Not dramatic, just that weird gut feeling you get when life's about to blindside you. Halfway down the row, I noticed a beat-up gray Toyota Camry with fogged-up windows. That alone wouldn't mean anything. People sleep in cars all the time at airports. But then I saw a movement. A shadow shifted in the back seat. I slowed down. My chest tightened. I don't know why I walked closer. I just did. I wiped a circle in the condensation with my sleeve and looked inside. My heart damn near stopped. It was Evan, my son, curled sideways in the back seat like he was trying to disappear into himself. And tucked against him under one thin blanket were two small bodies, Leo and Max, my grandsons, 5 years old, asleep in a car, in an airport parking garage. In March, for a second, my brain refused to accept it. Like, nope, this isn't real. This is some messed up coincidence. But it was real, way too real. I tapped on the window. Light knock. Evan's eyes flew open like he'd been jolted from a nightmare. He stared at me, frozen, mouth slightly open. I saw something on his face I'd never seen before. Not anger, not fear, shame. The kind that crushes a man from the inside out. He unlocked the door slowly and stepped out, pulling his jacket tight around himself. Dad. His voice cracked. What were you doing here? I couldn't even fake calm. That's my question. I said, what the hell is going on, Evan? Why are you sleeping in your car with my grandkids? He looked away, jaw clenched. It's complicated. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Complicated? Man, this isn't complicated. This is bad. Where's your place? Where's Lauren? Why are the boys here? The kids started stirring. Leo rubbed his eyes and looked up at me. Grandpa. That one word wrecked me. I dropped down on my knees, forced a smile that felt like it might crack my face in half. Hey, buddy, how about you and Max go grab breakfast with Grandpa, yeah? Pancakes, maybe? Max yawned. With syrup? All the syrup, I said. Evan didn't argue. He couldn't even look at me. 20 minutes later, the boys were smashing pancakes at a diner inside the terminal, happy as ever, like this was just another adventure. Evan and I sat at a table across the room. He looked thinner than the last time I'd seen him, hollowed out, like life had been taking shots at him nonstop, and he finally stopped blocking. She left, he said finally, 3 months ago. I nodded slowly. Lauren? He swallowed. Yeah, but she didn't just leave, Dad. She cleaned me out. That got my attention real fast. Explain. He leaned forward, hand shaking. The house, the money, the business accounts. All of it. She had me sign papers. Said it was tax stuff. Said it was temporary. I trusted her. My stomach dropped. Evan, one day I came home from work. The locks were changed. There was a restraining order taped to the door. Her lawyer said I was unstable, dangerous, that I was threatening her. I felt heat crawl up my spine. That's bull. You've never laid a hand on anyone in your life. He nodded bitterly. I know, but she had evidence. Texts, emails, witnesses, all of it fake or twisted. Her parents backed her up. The judge believed them. Then he told me about the money, the 6-figure investment I'd put into a startup. Gone. Transferred to an account under Lauren's father's name. Labeled as a loan. No paperwork. No agreement. Just gone. And the worst part? Custody. He lost it. Supervised visits only. Twice a week, in Lauren's parent house. The boys think we're camping, he said quietly. They think this is temporary. That was it. Something snapped in me. A cold, focused kind of anger. The kind that doesn't yell. The kind that plans. I leaned in and lowered my voice. This ends today. He shook his head. Dad, you don't get it. Her family has money, lawyers, connections. I stood up. Nah, you don't get it. You're not fighting this alone anymore. That night, in a hotel room overlooking the city, with my grandsons asleep in the next bed and my son staring at the wall like a broken man, I made the first phone call, then another, and another. If Lauren and her family thought they'd already won, they had no idea what was about to hit them. What I uncovered in the next 48 hours wasn't just a messy divorce. It was a calculated setup that went way deeper than custody. And once I saw the paper trail, I realized this wasn't going to stay in family court for long. Be why the next morning, I hadn't slept more than maybe an hour. The boys were still knocked out, sprawled across the hotel bed like nothing in the world could touch them. Evan sat by the window, staring at the skyline like it was judging him. I handed him a coffee. You ready to tell me everything? He nodded. Yeah, no more holding back. That's when I realized this wasn't just a divorce gone sideways. This was a full-on setup, planned move by move, like someone had been playing chess while my son thought they were playing checkers. Lauren didn't leave overnight. She'd been laying groundwork for months. Evan told me how she slowly pushed herself into handling the business finances, saying he was too stressed, and she just wanted to help. She volunteered to manage the bank accounts, payroll, vendor payments. Sounded supportive on the surface. In reality, it gave her control over every dollar. The night before she left, she transferred a huge chunk of money out of the business account. The next morning, boom, restraining order. Evan didn't even know the money was gone until weeks later. She knew exactly what she was doing, he said, voice tight. She made sure I'd have no cash, no house, no credibility. I was cooked before I even walked into court. The restraining order was the Real kill shot. Once that was in place, everything else fell like dominoes. Evan couldn't go back to the house, couldn't grab documents, couldn't access his own laptop. And because Lauren claimed he was mentally unstable, the judge went straight into defensive mode. Family court doesn't play when kids are involved. Better safe than sorry. That's how innocent parents get buried. Supervised visits only. Housing instability. Financial instability. It all stacked against him. They told me I needed stable housing to get custody. Evan said bitterly, but how am I supposed to get housing when she made sure I had no money? That's the trap. A perfect loop designed to keep him stuck. That afternoon, I made my first serious call. An old friend of mine, Frank Delgado, a family law attorney in Chicago, who doesn't lose sleep over intimidating rich families. I laid it all out, every detail. When I finished, there was a long pause on the line. Then Frank said, Richard, this smells like financial coercion mixed with parental alienation. And if the money was moved the way you're saying, this isn't just family court nonsense. This could turn criminal. That was the first time I saw a spark of hope in Evan's eyes. Frank gave me a name, Marissa Cole, a lawyer known for tearing apart high-conflict custody cases where money gets weaponized. Her retainer was brutal. I didn't blink. Book her, I said. Marissa was sharp. No small talk. No sympathy face. Just straight business. I need documents, she said. Bank statements. Emails. Texts. Anything. Evan barely had anything left, but I did. Wire confirmations for my investment. Old emails about the business plan. That was enough to start pulling threads. Then Marissa asked the question Lauren's whole case depended on. What about mental health? Any history? Evan hesitated. I saw a therapist last year. Work stress. Startup pressure. Marissa smiled for the first time. Good. That helps us. People who are unstable don't proactively get help. We'll subpoena those records. Over the next week, we went into full rebuild mode. I leased a furnished apartment under my name. Clean, safe, close to a school. We enrolled Leo and Max immediately. Pediatrician visits. Routine. Stability on paper. Evan landed a job with a former co-worker who vouched for him hard. Every box the court wanted checked. We checked it. Meanwhile, Marissa went on offense. She scheduled depositions for Lauren's so-called witnesses, the ones who claimed Evan was erratic. Funny thing about lies, they don't age well under oath. Then came the real bomb. Marissa hired a forensic accountant. 3 weeks later, the report landed on her desk, and when she showed it to me, my blood ran cold. This wasn't one transfer. It was dozens. Small amounts at first, then bigger ones. Money flowing from the business account to Lauren's personal account, then straight to her father. No contracts, no repayment terms. Just a slow bleed that added up to nearly $300,000. This is embezzlement. The accountant said flat out, and her father's in on it. Evan stared at the numbers like they were written in another language. "So I'm not crazy?" he asked quietly. Marissa shook her head. "No, you were robbed." The final piece came from an unexpected place. During one supervised visit, Evan started recording audio. Legally, posted consent and all that. He didn't think much of it at first. Just protection. But when we listened back, it was clear the boys were relaxed. Happy. Loving. No fear. No hesitation. Just kids with their dad. But Lauren's mother? Sitting in the corner, scribbling notes like she was writing a hit piece. And her written reports? Total fiction. The recordings destroyed her credibility. That's when Marissa leaned back and said the words Lauren's family never expected. "We're ending supervision, and we're taking this way beyond family court." What Lauren didn't know was that the same evidence she used to destroy Evan was about to trigger a fraud investigation. And once law enforcement got involved, there was no backing out. That'd be why the second week, the rhythm of our new life started to feel almost normal. Evan had the boys in the apartment. Breakfast on the table, backpacks ready for school. It wasn't luxury, it was basic. But it was stability, and that alone was revolutionary for him. Meanwhile, Marissa was running circles around Lauren's legal team. Every deposition we scheduled, every subpoena we served, we found holes. Big ones. And for the first time in months, Evan actually smiled. Like a real smile, not the hollow one from the diner. Then came the call from the forensic accountant. "Richard, you're not gonna like this." I braced myself. Lauren's been moving money again. Off books, offshore accounts. She's trying to cover her tracks. I leaned back in my chair, cold fury bubbling under my skin. She thinks she can hide from us? Nah, she's playing the wrong guy. Evan. And I started documenting everything. Emails, texts, bank notifications. Even casual photos of Leo and Max at school events. Proof that life with their dad was safe, stable, normal. Meanwhile, Lauren started noticing a pattern. Her calls were ignored. Her lawyers were frustrated, and she began pushing back harder in court. She wanted custody, financial control, and to keep her perfect image intact. But the truth has a way of biting back. One afternoon, a new twist hit. Lauren's father, the so-called quiet businessman behind the scenes, decided to step in personally. Threatening letters, smug emails, veiled threats. "Watch your back," they read. Evan shook, but I put my hand on his shoulder. "Listen, man, you're not alone. I've dealt with sharks before. Time to show them we bite back too." And that's exactly what we did. I called in a private investigator, a guy who doesn't blink at rich families trying to manipulate the system. Within 48 hours, we had a trail of Lauren and her father meeting with shady financial consultants, moving cash, altering documents. The walls they thought were solid weren't at court. We flipped the script. Marissa walked in like a storm. Witnesses we'd exposed as liars, neutralized. Evidence of embezzlement, slammed down on the judge's desk. Lauren's family, flustered, defensive, sweating under pressure. For the first time, it felt like the scales might tip in our favor. And throughout it all, Evan grew stronger. He wasn't just a victim anymore. He was a fighter, a dad, a man who refused to be broken. But just when we thought we were cruising toward victory, a bomb dropped. The private investigator's call came late one night. "Richard, you need to see this. Now." I rushed over, Evan trailing behind me. On the screen were photos. Lauren outside the new apartment, watching, taking notes. Not subtle, not casual. This wasn't just court obsession. It was surveillance. She knew we were tightening the net. And from the look on the investigator's face, she was planning something. Big. And that's when I realized it. This fight wasn't just about custody or money anymore. It was personal, calculated, ruthless. And if we weren't careful, the next move could hit us harder than anything we'd seen so far. Lauren thought she was running the game, but what she didn't know was that the trap we were setting, it was about to snap, and when it did, it wouldn't just ruin her plans. It would expose a secret she thought was buried forever. Be why the next morning, the tension in our apartment was thick enough to cut with a knife. Leo and Max were at school, blissfully unaware, while Evan paced like a caged tiger. "Dad, she's crazy," he muttered, running his hands through his hair. "I mean, watching the apartment? That's next level." I leaned against the counter, sipping my coffee, keeping my voice calm. "I know, man, but crazy doesn't mean smart. And right now, we're smarter." We spent the day mapping out every move. Marissa, ever the strategist, laid it out like a battle plan. Every dollar Lauren moved, every false claim she filed, every attempt to manipulate the court. They were all going to be documented, time-stamped, and exposed. And the PI? He had Lauren's routines, her contacts, even her shady consultant, friends ready to be questioned. The trap wasn't just set, it was wired to explode. That night, Evan and I sat down to review recordings and documents. I noticed something that made my stomach knot. Lauren had left a digital trail we hadn't seen before. Encrypted emails, mysterious wire transfers, even odd hotel bookings under fake names. She was moving fast, and if we didn't act, she could disappear with the money and the boys' stability again. "We can't wait," I said firmly. "We hit her now, or we risk losing control." Evan nodded, finally showing that spark of determination I hadn't seen in months. The next morning, we executed the first strike. Marissa filed a motion requesting an immediate forensic audit, exposing Lauren's offshore accounts and linking her father directly to the money transfers. She called a media consultant to prepare for potential press if Lauren tried to spin the story publicly. Then came the psychological play. Evan requested supervised visits be recorded, audio and video. Every interaction, every lie, every manipulation would now be documented in crystal clear detail. Lauren's reaction was almost predictable. Her lawyers called nonstop, trying to intimidate, threaten, and cajole. But we stayed steady, calm, ruthless when we had to be. That evening, a surprise package arrived at the apartment, an envelope stuffed with letters from Lauren's mother, full of angry accusations and desperate threats. I read them aloud to Evan. "She's panicking," I said, "and panic makes people sloppy." Evan smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and newfound confidence. "We're going to win, huh?" "We're not just going to win," I said. "We're going to clean house." But then the unexpected hit like a sucker punch. The PI called again, voice tense. "Richard, you need to see this. Lauren's planning to move the boys. Tonight, flight booked. No notice. She's going to vanish with them." My heart dropped. All the months of prep, the legal maneuvers, the hope it could be undone in one bold move. I slammed my fist on the counter. "She's insane." Evan's eyes hardened. "Then we stop her." Tonight, we went into full lockdown mode. Phones on speaker. Traffic monitored. Every angle covered. Marissa coordinated with law enforcement contacts quietly, legally, and swiftly. The plan was precise. Intercept, document, secure. It was high stakes, nerve-wracking, the kind of adrenaline that makes your teeth chatter. And as the clock ticked closer to Lauren's flight, I realized something chilling. If we messed up, this wouldn't just set us back. It could destroy everything Evan had fought to rebuild. The chase was on, the trap was live, and Lauren's next move wasn't just risky. It was dangerous. One wrong step, and the game would flip completely, and nobody was ready for what came next. The night was freezing, wind cutting through the city like knives. Evan and I sat in my rental, eyes glued to the street below. Every minute Lauren's flight was a countdown to disaster. The PI whispered through the earpiece, "She's leaving the hotel lobby in 10. My gut tightened. Then let's move. We hit the street, blending in with late-night pedestrians. Evan gripped my arm, but his eyes burned with determination. Dad, if we miss this, it's over. I nodded. Not today, man. Not on my watch. We trailed her van through dark streets, careful not to spook her. Every turn, every stop was tracked. Then it happened. She pulled into a quiet loading zone near the airport. That's when the PI gave the signal. Now! Evan and I blocked the vehicle just as the driver started pulling away. Lauren jumped, furious, yelling, "Move! What the hell?" But we stayed firm, blocking the doors, cameras rolling from every angle. Marissa's voice came through the phone, calm but deadly. "Step out. Now. You're on record. All of it. No funny business." Lauren hesitated, eyes darting, realizing she'd been trapped. The confrontation was tense. Shouting, accusations flying. But Evan stayed steady, pointing out lies she told the court, the embezzlement, the threats. Every word we spoke was documented, every lie recorded. Her mask cracked, and just as she tried to make a run for it, the PI stepped in, cutting off her escape. The police, pre-informed but discreet, arrived seconds later. They didn't need to act aggressively. The evidence we had was enough to stop her cold. Evan's voice cracked, but with power now. "This ends tonight, Lauren. No more games." I could see the fear in her eyes. The same fear I'd felt seeing him in that car months ago. And for the first time, I saw Evan not as the broken man he'd been, but as a father reclaiming his life. It was cinematic, almost surreal. One minute they were trying to vanish with our world. The next, the game had flipped. Marissa debriefed us afterward. "Court's gonna swing hard in your favor. Financial crimes, parental alienation, attempted abduction. This isn't a small-time mess anymore." They overplayed. I looked at Evan. He smiled faintly, exhausted, but free. For Leo and Max, the nightmare was finally ending. But then came the call that froze my blood. The PI's voice serious. "Richard, there's something you need to see. Something she left behind, a secret she's been hiding. And it's bigger than we thought." Lauren thought she'd lost it all. But the moment we discovered what she'd been hiding, it changed everything that we gathered in the apartment, tension so thick it felt like static. Leo and Max were asleep upstairs, oblivious to the storm about to hit. The PI laid out a folder on the table, thick with papers, photos, and digital files. This is what she's been hiding," he said quietly. I flipped through the documents, each page heavier than the last. Offshore accounts, falsified contracts, fake identities, and worst of all, proof that Lauren and her father had been scheming for years. This wasn't just about money. This was a calculated empire of lies. Evan's hand shook. She planned all this? I nodded grimly. Every step, man. From the business takeover to custody. Every move. I could see the old hollow look trying to creep back into his eyes. But not this time. Not tonight. We're going to expose all of it, I said. And we started planning. Legal filings, forensic audits, and criminal complaints. Every shred of evidence, presented in a way the court and law enforcement couldn't ignore. The next morning, Marissa walked into court like a hurricane. Witnesses? Debunked. Lies? Exposed. Evidence? Slammed on the table. Judges, lawyers. And even Lauren herself looked stunned. For the first time, the power wasn't with her. It was with Evan. With us. And as the legal hammer came down, custody restored, financial restitution ordered, Lauren's manipulations fully uncovered, Evan finally exhaled. The fight had been brutal, but victory was ours. We returned to the apartment that evening, exhausted but relieved. The boys ran to us, laughing, unaware of the battles waged to protect them. I looked at Evan proud, seeing the man he'd become. "We did it, Dad," he said softly. "Yeah, we did," I replied. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about winning a fight. It was about reclaiming life, dignity, and family. And then came the final piece of the puzzle. A quiet knock at the door. The PI handed me an envelope with no return address. Inside, a photo of Lauren looking smug, standing outside an empty office building, and a note. "You think this is over?" My stomach dropped. She'd lost a legal battle, but she wasn't finished. Lauren's empire of lies was exposed, her plans crushed, but she still had moves left. And the truth she'd been hiding? It wasn't just money, custody, or revenge. It was a secret that could still destroy everything we'd fought to protect if we weren't ready.